Jamie Conlon. Hello, mate. Hello.
Cristofer Rosales to the table area, please.
Jamie, what are you doing up here?
I'm taking my part. Yeah.
Michael, how are you, brother?
Thomas, we're record with Cristofer Rosales and Roger Gonzalez. Oh, hey there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to this press conference as we get set for a historic night of World Championship Boxing Saturday night here at Windsor Park. It is all being brought to you by Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry Promotions, along with their great sponsors, 32 Red and Foot Asylum. Well, ladies and gentlemen, just a few notes. There are only a handful of tickets remaining, so please purchase your tickets as soon as possible. And if you can't join us live here at Windsor Park, it will be televised on BT Sport beginning at 7:45 p.m. and also in the United States on Showtime. Well, we have got 2 world title fights scheduled for you. And at this time, I would like to introduce to you those participants first competing for the WBC Flyweight Championship of the World, scheduled for 12 rounds. Let's welcome first the challenger. He is undefeated with 5 wins. One of his 5 wins comes by way of knockout. He's from right here, Belfast, Northern Ireland. Let's welcome the 3-time Olympian who earned 2 bronze medals, Paddy, the And his opponent Saturday night, he is the defending world champion. He comes to us from Managua, Nicaragua. His record consists of 27 wins, 3 defeats, with 18 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending WBC Flyweight Champion of the World, Cristofer El Latigo Rosales. And our main event, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday night, 12-round schedule. It will be for the WBO Interim Featherweight Championship of the World. Introducing to you now those participants coming to us from Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. He is undefeated with 16 wins. 7 of his 16 wins come by way of knockout. Let's welcome the challenger, Luke Action Jackson. And certainly needing no introduction, he's from right here, Belfast. His record, 25 wins, just 1 defeat, with 13 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the former WBA and IBF Super Bantamweight World Champion and former WBA Super World Featherweight Champion. And Saturday night, he defends his WBO Interim Featherweight Championship of the World. Ladies and gentlemen, Carl Frampton. And at this time, I will now pass things over to the moderator of today's press conference, Mr. John Rawling.
The moderator. Thank you very much, and welcome everybody for coming here today. And the turnout, once again, it underlines just what a fantastic boxing city Belfast has become. This is the biggest ever event that's been put on here. It's going to be a very, very special night. I'm looking forward to commentating and broadcasting on it immensely, because it's going to be something very special. And you only need to look out at that arena here at Windsor Park and see just how good it's going to be for a major boxing event. Well, our promoter, of course, is Frank Warren, and I'm excited about it, Frank, and I'm sure you must be as well.
I am, Mr. Moderator. It's a very, very. It's going to be a very exciting night on Saturday. We've got, Ireland's best here, and they're putting it all on the line. We've got Luke Jackson coming over here. He's undefeated. He really fancies a job against Belfast's own Carl Frampton. Carl, you couldn't work with a better guy than him. He's a tremendous professional. He's a joy to work with, and it's because of him that we're here and delivering, I think, the biggest boxing show that Belfast has ever had. If I maybe stand to be corrected, I think it is. And it's more or less sold out, so it's going to be fantastic, fantastic atmosphere here. And then we've got Paddy Barnes, Belfast own. He's really stepping up to the plate after only 5 pro fights, fighting Cristofer Rosales. And again, you can't be any more gamer than that. And if Gameness wins you a world title, this guy, well, he deserves it in spades.
2 outstanding fights that we're, of course, looking forward to. On paper, they both have the makings of being very good altercations indeed. I can say that as being the moderator.
Well, you can. Very modest moderator. Yeah, they are. They are what they are. Luke's not coming here for just a sightseeing trip. He's here. He fancies the job, and it's a big opportunity for him to upset the apple cart and put himself into some even bigger fights. But Carl's a true professional, and I think Carl, at the end of the day, knows what's at stake here. He's not going to be looking to lose in front of his home fans, and he's be looking to make a further statement and put himself in a position where he's fighting, for a full world title, or at the worst case, or a best case, a unification match. It's no secret Josh Warrington's coming here. So, there are big things that could happen for the winner of this fight.
Before we hear from the guys actually involved in the major fights, Jamie, just put a microphone in front of you. And just from a Belfast point of view, tell us about what this means to this city and to your big friends.
It's historic. I think it's the first time probably ever that a football stadium has been held as a boxing venue, and there's only really been so far one man to be able to do it, and it's Carl Frampton. He's united the city, he's united the country. He's just an all-round good fella. He looks phenomenal at the minute. I've never seen him as more happier. A mental state has been phenomenal. He looks in fantastic shape with Jamie Moore. And don't even get me started about my mate, Paddy Barnes. It's a dream come true. If not for me to become world champion, for my friends and my family to become world champions would be amazing. My brother and Paddy. Paddy's a godfather to my niece, so he's basically family to me. And if he becomes world champion on Saturday night, it's like another member of my own family becoming world champion.
Paddy, for people watching, Jamie, I beg your pardon. For people watching on who maybe haven't been over to Belfast watching fights and watching promotions over here, the amazing atmosphere that you get in this city, what is it about Belfast and boxing?
We're a boxing city. The boxers in Belfast, in Northern Ireland and Ireland in general, are held in high esteem. We can say we're not a great footballing city, but some will argue here. But we're a great boxing city. We've always been a great boxing city from right back in the day. But you see a boxer growing up, in my road alone, I think there was 9 boxing clubs. It was the first and foremost thing you done. You were put in the football or you went to boxing. You learned how the discipline in boxing. You learned how to respect your elders, you learned how to respect others, but you also learned how to defend yourself. And I think everyone in school done boxing, so we understand a good boxer and a bad boxer. So the opponents coming over, they'll get the respect from the crowd. They'll be hostile and it'll be hectic, but they'll get respect because they know a good fight and they know a good fighter.
Now there's a good undercard. I think things are all kicking off at about 4:30 in the afternoon, so you'll have your own favourites who you've seen and you've met and you'll be wanting to watch, so come along here early. The main televised action, as you've heard, starts at around about 7:45, and the first fight actually in the ring that's going to be on BT Sport is Paddy and Cristofer's battle. So you want to see the world title fight, world flyweight title fight, please get along early and don't be sure not to miss that. We've got some really good undercard fights as well, including Stephen Ward, who's sitting down to my right in front of me, up against Steve Collins Jr., light heavyweights, 8-rounder this one. And it's Northern Ireland against the Republic, against Dublin, Belfast against Dublin. Stephen, being here and fighting in this stadium on this card must mean a heck of a lot to you.
I was over the moon when I got the call to say I was on the bill, and I was happy enough just to be on the bill. And then obviously with great management, MTK, they were able to get me the challenge at Steve Collins, which is a great fight. You know, we're both early enough on in our careers, and we're looking to push on now. So it was just icing on the cake, like, for me.
Undefeated in 7 fights. You're known as the quiet man, so I guess you're not going to start saying I'm going to murder the bum or anything like that. But you must be looking forward to massively the atmosphere of being out there in front of the Irish fans here at Windsor Park.
Of course. You know, I live just a stone's throw away from here up the road, and my mum and my dad's funny small around here, so it's good just to be part of it, and it's just going to be an amazing night. You know, it's one's going to go down in history, and for it to be part of it, you know, I'm loving it, to say the least.
How many tickets you sold?
And how many supporters personally are you going to have here? How many tickets have you managed to sell?
No comment. No, I don't. I done good tickets for someone that doesn't go on mouthing off. All the boys take a mickey out of me for being so boring, but people seem to come to buy tickets all. Cheers, comrade. And so the boys take a mickey out of me for being boring, but it mustn't be that bad because people are still buying tickets all the time.
Jamie, tell us a bit more about this lad, because you train him and you work with him on a daily basis. Tell us about him as a fighter.
Yeah, he's coming on leaps and bounds. He's a great lad. You're right. You know, he's known as the quiet man. He keeps himself to himself, but you know, there's some banter what goes on in our gym, and unfortunately, Stephen's at the brunt of it sometimes because he don't really come back with anything. But he's a great kid. He's a disciplined athlete, unbelievably disciplined, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing how he performs because he's been putting the work in the gym. The development of him in the gym has been really impressive over the last 3 months, and I think he's going to put in a great performance. What ways has he really been improving? He's relaxing more, which was one of the problems at first. He was a little bit stiff and rigid. He's fighting on the inside much better. I think early on in your career to develop and improve, you don't just want to sort of concentrate on the stuff you're good at. You need to concentrate on the stuff what you're bad at. That's how you're going to improve all round as a fighter, and that's what he's been doing. He's been working on the stuff what he needs to work on to improve on, and the stuff what he's really good at. Then we've been obviously drilling that and making improvements in that way. So he's I think everyone who's been following him and watching him, obviously he sells a lot of tickets, as you're saying. He's got a big fan base. They're going to see a big improvement in this performance this time. And what sort of a fight are you anticipating against Steve Collins? Steve's not actually here, but what sort of a fight would you think it's going to be? I think style-wise, it makes a great blend. You know, you've got Stephen, who's a real well-skilled boxer. Steve Collins is similar to his dad in the sense that he's a nice, high-octane pressure fighter, big, strong. So I think he's going to bring the fight to Stephen. So that's one of the reasons why we've had to sort of add a little bit to Stephen's armoury to make sure he can fight in the trenches as well as box on the outside. So it'll be a good blend of styles, and it'll be a great fight for the fans. One I'm certainly looking forward to, and while we're talking trainers, I think it's probably a good moment to bring Danny Vaughan in, because he's been looking after Paddy Barnes in the run-up to his fight against Cristofer Rosales. Tell us a little bit about the camp, Danny. How's your man?
Yeah, he's in fine form, John. I mean, the camp we've had has been unbelievable. Paddy's given his heart and soul to this camp, and we're looking for a big performance of him come Saturday night.
How fit is he compared with previous previous fights? I mean, is he going in here looking in the form of his life, would you say?
Yes, John, most definitely. He's in the best shape he's ever been in. I mean, he's given his heart and soul, as I said before, to the fight, and we just can't wait for Saturday night.
What about sparring? Who've you been working with?
Well, yes, John, we've been all around the country. We went up to spar Carl Frampton, who has beat Cristofer, and the sparring was frightening. It was brilliant. So, we just can't wait for Saturday now.
Absolutely. Paddy, give us your analysis of this fight and what it means for you to be fighting here in this stadium with your great mate Carl.
I think it's going to be a great fight. Cristofer's style, he's relentless. My own style is relentless too, so it's the makings of a great fight, and it's definitely going to be fight of the night. You've had this fabulous amateur career, which Thomas sort of alluded to. Twice an Olympic bronze medalist. You've won Commonwealth titles. You've won the European title. If you were to actually win this belt on Saturday night, where would it rank for you? How much would it mean? Well, as I said, I've won them 2 Olympic bronze medals, but I still hold the European title win as an amateur the highest, because in the Olympics it's only 3rd, but in Europe it was 1st. So to be world champion, especially in my home city, it'll just be the best thing ever. And how much of a lift can these guys who've come along here to hear you speak today, when you actually walk out into that stadium and you hear the Irish voices cheering for you, how much of a lift is that going to give you? I don't really know yet. I fought with like 16,000 and 17,000 people before around the world, but it's the first time I'm going to fight in such a large crowd. In front of such a large crowd in my home city, and it's something that I'm really, really excited to do. I don't think too many people know you better than the man sitting to my right here, Carl. And before we talk about your fight specifically, Carl, tell us a little bit about what it would mean to you to actually share in a bill where Paddy goes on to become a world champion.
Yeah, I've spoke about this. Like it means the world, and Jamie Conlon mentioned it earlier. It's good to see, and we're all very supportive of each other, all the boxers in this city, and it's good to see everyone doing well. So for Paddy to have the chance to fight and win a world title in only his 6th fight, I remember talking about it and saying when he'd 1 or 2 fights that don't be surprised if Paddy wins a world title inside 10 fights, and he's gone a bit better, and he's knocked 4 off that. So I believe that his fight with Rosales could steal the show. I like both their styles, very aggressive, high work rate, both of them. I think it's going to be a very, very good fight, but I'm backing Paddy. I genuinely, I see a different side to him. I think Paddy's always a joker, but he's very, very serious this time, and I believe he's going to become world champion in only his 6th fight, which is an amazing thing. The bookies, interestingly, disagree. They've got Cristofer here as quite a strong favourite. Paddy Barnes, if you shop around, apparently you can get around about 2-1 against him winning this, which looks kind of a tempting bet. Not for me. Not that I'd advocate it, of course. No, it's just look, you put your money on who you think's going to win. If I had my last pound, I'd be sticking it on Paddy. Let's see if we can just get Cristofer's thoughts about coming here. We've got a translator here. Can you ask him how much he's looking forward to this fight, whether he's worried about coming out and fighting in Paddy's territory?
¿Qué esperas de esta? Si estás preocupado venir a pelear aquí con Paddy en el terreno de él.
Bueno, primeramente, buenas tardes a todos. Gracias a Dios, pues no tememos a nada de eso. Estamos acostumbrados a pelear en patio ajeno y pues estamos disponibles a retener nuestro título. Venimos con toda confianza. Arriba del ring simplemente vamos a hacer Paddy y yo y no hay ningún inconveniente con eso.
He is used to. First of all, he said, well, good evening to everybody. And he is used to fight out his town all the time, and he will have no bother over the ring is going to be him and Paddy. That's it. So he's coming to retain his title.
How much does he know about Paddy as a boxer? How much has he been able to study him?
¿Qué tanto sabes de Paddy Brown?
Bueno, creo que sé lo necesario para poder derrotarlo el sábado.
He knows enough. He knows what he needs to win on Saturday.
How does he believe that he is going to win? What sort of a fight are we going to see?
¿Qué clase de pelea esperamos para el sábado? ¿Qué te hace creer que va a ganar?
Bueno, pues espero, verdad, que la pelea lo ofrezca Paddy, porque yo desde que suena la campana yo ofrezco pelea, ya sea que él vaya a plantarse, verdad, chocarse conmigo o vaya a correrse, cualquiera de las dos formas, pues igualmente vamos a buscar cómo cazarlo. Venimos preparados para cualquier estrategia que él traiga y pues venimos listos para llevarnos la victoria nuevamente.
He will prepare. He is coming ready to take his victory, take his belt home. I say he want Paddy to dictate the pace, and then the way Paddy act, the way he will act, and then he will catch him.
Final word on the fight then from Paddy. He's going to let you dictate the pace, and at some point he's going to catch you.
Well, if he lets me set the pace, it's going to be my fate, because if I dictate the pace, I'm going to control the distance, and there's no way I'm going to let it slip up. So, thanks, mate.
Paddy dice que bueno, si lo vas a dejar que él elija la pelea, te da muchas gracias, porque él así entonces sabrá qué hacer.
Está bien, lo único que pues le digo de que espero no vaya a plantar a correrse.
The only thing he says, don't go to be running about like a wee chicken.
Well, it's funny to say don't go running about, because my second name is Gonzalez. Speedy Gonzalez.
Él dice que el segundo nombre es González, Speedy González. O sea, conoce a Speedy González, ¿no? El batoncito.
No importa, como sea, lo cazamos.
Anyway, he's going to catch you.
Good man.
Okay, well, we'll leave that one there for the moment, and just a reminder again, just to emphasise the fact, I mean, everybody's looking forward to this, and a lot of people are looking at the card and saying this could well be the fight of the night. If you want to see it and you're coming here on Saturday night, you need to be in your seats early, because it will be getting underway before 8 o'clock, so be here early and make sure you see that one. Spicy one, Frank.
Very, very. I can't wait to see it. You know, it's going to be. I'm looking for history to be made, and I think everybody's behind, with due respects to Cristofer, but everybody's behind Paddy, and we all want to see it happen for him. And it's up to him at the end of the day, but I believe he can do it.
Certainly a fantastic fight to look forward to, and this one as well. You talked about how good it's been working with Carl Frampton, and how good he is at selling a show, and really has been responsible for us being here at Windsor Park. And it's a cracking fight on paper, an undefeated guy who's got the opportunity to lift himself and raise himself to a new level.
Well, he is, and he's a consummate professional, and he's not fazed by any challenge. He's, you know, when we got together, all he kept saying is, I want the big fights. I want to fight the best that are around. And he's been asking for those. He wanted to fight here, and we've delivered for him. And as I said earlier on, it's now all about him doing the business. And he comes through it, he will be involved in a major, major fight, which I know the fans will love. But he's got this guy here, as I say, you know, he's coming here. He thinks he's going to upset the apple cart, and we will see. And people, you know, earlier on you talk about underdogs and bookmakers. You know, James DeGale, who I promoted against Truex, was it about 9 months ago? Yeah. He was a massive, massive favourite, and Truex was like 41. You could have got 40 to 1 against. So upsets happen in boxing. You know, at the end of the day, Cristofer went to Japan and he was an underdog and upset the odds over there. So upsets happen, and that creates good fights. And I'm quite sure we're going to see the best out of these guys. The one thing they're not doing, you know, they're not coming to lay down. They're coming to try their hardest. They're coming to win titles and defend titles. And the people who will benefit from that are the fans.
Now, Luke is certainly not here just to make up the numbers. He's been working with Billy Hussein, training, preparing for this. You'll have studied long and hard what you're up against, Billy.
Definitely. We've had a real good training camp. Carl's a great fighter. I mean, it's an honour to be here and train Luke for such a massive fight, especially on Frank Warren's promotion. My two brothers were promoted by Frank Warren, Hussein and Del Hussein. And I think Nadal fought Scott Harrison in his last fight for the WBO featherweight title. So the title means a lot to us. And our idol, Prince Nassim Hamid, was the champion. So this is huge for us, and we really want to win this fight.
Tell us what it would mean back home in Tasmania, in Hobart and across Australia if Luke was able to win this. How much of a boost would it give Australian boxing?
Well, Australian boxing's on a high at the moment. Luke's stablemate, unfortunately, last week lost to Tevin Farmer for the IBF world title. Billy did. So we really got to win this fight, especially for the fans and who supported Luke. I mean, the whole of Australia is getting behind Luke for this fight. It's been amazing. The press has been backing it. We're going live to Australia on Sunday morning, so this is for Australia.
You obviously know this guy about as well as you can do in an athletic trainer relationship. Tell us what sort of a fighter he is and what we can anticipate.
Look, honestly, I've been around boxing my whole life. Been involved in over 100 world title fights. It's nothing new to me as a trainer, so I'm able to guide Luke through all this. Ultimate professional, really does everything right, perfect. I've got to slow him down. This training camp's been more about being smart, freshen him up, and I believe Carl Frampton's overlooking us, overlooking Luke and the Warrington fight. And just 2 weeks ago, myself and Luke watched Kovalev. They were building Kovalev to fight Bivol on HBO, and he got upset and he got beat. And I believe we're going to do the same here.
Well, let's hear from Luke himself. I mean, I've obviously been following the interviews and the quotes, and I've seen that you've suggested that Carl is not the fighter that he once was, that he beat a man in Nonito Donaire who was at the end of his career, and that wasn't the great performance that maybe some people were suggesting it was. What do you think? Do you think he's overlooking you?
Look, first and foremost, it's great to be back in Belfast. My third time here. I love the city, so thank you. At the start, maybe I thought he was overlooking me a bit, but, I think he understands what's at stake. And, if he loses to me, his career's pretty much over.
How do you beat him? Well,
we've trained extremely hard and smart this camp, and I spent a lot more time with Billy Hussein than what I normally do. And I've got to fight the perfect fight. I've got to fight the perfect fight, and I believe I can do that.
You've had your problems in the past, you had a difficult childhood, I know. If you got that belt and became a world champion, put into words what it would mean for you and for the people who know you.
Well, it's, a real-life Rocky story then, isn't it? I come from nothing, and there's a lot that I've had to deal with in my life to get to this position. I won't go into it because we'd be sitting here all day. But look, I'm very proud of myself to be able to be here and sitting up here. And my father is 67 years old, and he's never left the country of Australia. And for me to give my father a reason to fly halfway across the world, that fills me with pride. And I know the crowds on Carl's side on Saturday night, but you guys in Belfast have been so welcoming, and I have my small crew that are up the back that have flown over with my father, so I'm fighting for them and everyone back in Australia.
Tell us about your feelings about going out in front of the 25,000 people who are going to be here, the vast majority of whom are going to be baying for this guy.
Yeah, look, it's no surprise it's going to be hostile. And look, I can sit here and I can say I can handle it, I can do this, I can do that, but at the end of the day, I've got to do it, don't I? You know what I mean? And look, I've tried for this training camp to prepare for it mentally, and that's one thing that I've done this training camp, is I've really tried to prepare myself mentally for all those things that could happen in the fight, and we've just got to wait and see now if it works. But you know, I've had a great training camp. I'm confident. My weight is good and my mind is clear, so I'm ready to weigh in and fight.
How do you begin? Last one for the moment. How do you begin to actually psychologically prepare yourself for what's going to be coming at you, for going out there? And when you walk in, you know you're going to be hit by that wall of noise. How do you prepare for that?
Well, it's the same as anything. You know, how do you prepare for any fight? You start. You know, at the start of training camp, you mentally prepare. I've started preparing for this from when I was here for the press conference last time. When we walked down onto the pitch, I was looking around thinking, you know, next time I'm here, there's going to be 24,000 people screaming. You know, like, and I've visualised it. And look, if you visualise stuff, it comes true. And I've visualised this moment for a long time. And, you know, I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I'm going to grab it with both hands.
Okay, well, we've heard from this side of the table. Let's go across to the far end now and hear from Jamie once again. Working with this guy, you obviously have worked out a tremendous fighter and trainer relationship as well. But with the big possibility of a world title unification match against Josh Warrington coming up perhaps before the end of the year, how difficult has it been to effectively keep your eye on the ball?
It's not, to be honest. It really hasn't been difficult. Carl Frampton's the consummate professional, and you know, obviously we wanted a big unification fight or one of the top 2 or 3 guys in the world, and it just wasn't possible. But what you've got to understand is this has been a dream of Carl's for a long time, and doesn't matter who's in the opposite corner. I would have been more worried if we was back at the SSE Arena and he'd been there and done it many, many times, and he was fighting Luke Jackson, because then there would have been the slight possibility of maybe him taking his eye off the ball. But you know, I understand why Luke Jackson's camp are trying to hope that he's overlooked him, and you know, because the only way they can sort of try and gain any confidence for themselves is to hope that Carl Frampton's overlooked him and he's not trained properly, yeah, and it's just not the case. In fact, he's in the best shape. We know we go to Manchester Institute of Health and Performance every week, training altitude chamber, and the statistics tell us his test is 10% fitter than he was for Danair now at the same time. So he's not guesswork. We know where he's at, and you know, he's in the form of his career, he really is.
So if you were to compare the Carl Frampton who you've been working with now against the guy who you saw from a distance, you weren't actually working with him then when he beat Leo Santa Cruz, but how good do you think he is compared with the Carl Frampton of 2-3 years ago?
I think he's in his prime. I think right now he's in his prime because, you know, boxing isn't just about your technique, your fitness. It's a combination of those things and your mentality. You know, you can be as fit as you want, you can be the best boxer in the world, but if mentally you fall apart at the last minute, or you have demons and negative thoughts in your mind, then you can lose the fight. So it's a combination of getting them all right. And since, you know, it's been nearly 12 months now that Carl's been with us, you know, gradually we've got him to the stage where he's come back to where he maybe was years ago. He's enjoying the sport and he's improving. He's still improving now, which is a scary thought.
Just talk for a moment about him technically. I mean, I've heard you speaking before with Mike Costello actually about his wonderful judgment of distance, the way in which he bosses a fight by judging his range.
Yeah.
What do you mean exactly by that?
It's difficult to explain because it's so hard to teach. You don't teach them things, I should say. You know, those they're natural attributes. What, you know, there's only a very few number of fighters who've got that stuff, and when you sit there and watch the sparring and watch him go to work, sometimes he'll do stuff and you just think, wow. You know, Martin Murray, for instance. Martin Murray's a world-class fighter, and he'll stand next to me watching the sparring and just go, wow. So these little things what you do, what you can't teach, it's a natural attribute. And, you know, fighters hoping, who are going to fight him, hoping that he makes mistakes or hoping he does certain things where they can lull him in. When the first bell goes, they realise it's just a total different level.
And just before we hear from Carl, one other thing. Have you had to kind of guard against or instill in him, don't get too overhyped by fighting here at Windsor Park?
I think that's part of a trainer's job. It's not just, let's get in the gym 12 weeks from a fight and get you fit. You know, you have to prepare him mentally, you have to guide him psychologically through it. And very much so, I've got my own little plan in my head where, you know, I'll let him enjoy the occasion for a little bit, and then there'll be a point where I'll make him switch off and we focus and we go through our little routine.
Well, let's introduce Carl to you all again, and this time talking about yourself, Carl. You know, this is here. You're in Windsor Park. It's happening. It's kind of a dream, isn't it?
That's what it is. Exactly what it is. It's a dream, and it's soon going to be a reality. The fight at Windsor Park in front of my passionate fan base, and to have friends like Paddy and Stevie and Conrad Cummings and everyone else on the bill, and it's a special thing, not only for me but I think for the city as well. It's a big night and everyone's talking about it. You see the buzz around the city, but I'm excited, and I just want to. Sorry, before I go on, TJ Dahany won a world title in Japan literally an hour ago, so I'd like to say well done. A round of applause for TJ. Look, I'm ready for this, and I've seen a few things that Luke and has said, and I think he kind of there now he says that he sees that I'm not overlooking him, but I haven't been this whole camp. It hasn't just changed in the last 2 weeks. From start to finish, this is, without being disrespectful to Luke, this is about more than Luke Jackson. This is me at Windsor Park, and this is something I've wanted for a very, very long time, and I've trained very hard. I've left everything in the gym. As Jamie says, I'm fitter now than I was against the Nino Donaire. And then at that point, I felt I was in the shape of my life, because mentally, like, I'm so happy with boxing the last year. Everything's flipped for me, and I was winning fights. I'm beating big names, but I wasn't enjoying it. Now I'm enjoying it. I think Jimmy's right. I'm in my prime now, and you're going to see bigger performances.
This is your part of Belfast, isn't it? I mean, that you've been coming here since you were a little lad. Tell us about that. Yeah, no, I've always came to watch the football, and first time I was here, I think Northern Ireland played France, and I've seen guys like Lilian Thuram and I think. Vieira and stuff were playing, a great French team that went on to win the World Cup. So that's what I was here as a football fan all the time. Again, I'd like to thank the residents as well in the surrounding area for working with the IFA and helping make this happen. But it's a dream. It's a dream. You know what I mean? Kind of when I was. You talk about boxing in the Odyssey and 9,000, it's a big crowd, and I love that, and that was great to fill that out. But then when you start filling the Odyssey, when you start to bring big numbers to Vegas and New York, then you start to think about Windsor as a venue. And for the last sort of 5 years, it's been a dream of mine, and now we're doing it. And just a word about this fella as an opponent. He's backtracked a little bit from some of the things that he said earlier on, about that maybe you're not quite the fighter that you were and that you're looking past him. How much do you know about him? And just answer that as well. I know a fair bit about him. I know that he's very highly ranked with the WBO. He hasn't got himself into that position for being a bad fighter. I think he's a solid professional. And he's a good fighter, but I just believe that I'm a different level. But it doesn't matter what anyone says right now. It's whatever happens on the night. That's the important thing. I can say whatever, Luke can say whatever, but it's all about getting a hand raised at the end of the night, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have my hand raised. I'm ready for this fight. And when people talk about me overlooking and talking about Warrington or Valdez, I get asked them questions. I don't start talking about them. People ask me a question and I mention them, and they are the fights that I want. But
Luke Jackson is the only guy that's been on my mind this whole training camp.
Frank, you've heard from both lads there. It's something that I'm looking forward to immensely as the guy who's going to be commentating for it on BT Sport, and as the promoter, you must be just loving it.
I am. It's just, as I say, it's delivering Carl's dream, and we certainly don't want it turning into a nightmare. He's got to be out there and, as he says, be at his best. And you've heard what, obviously, all the guys have said, and I think what, Jamie said is quite critical and quite crucial to the mindset, that he feels he's hitting his prime, he's in his prime. And I know one thing for sure, as I said earlier, he's been a joy to work with. You couldn't work with a more professional guy. He's a fantastic person to work with. And a happy fighter is a good fighter, is a quality fighter. And I like to believe he's happy now, and I like to feel that he feels that, he's got everybody working and acting in his best interest. And the benefit of that, as I keep saying, will be the fans. This is going to be a great show on Saturday. It's going to be a great occasion, and I think we're going to deliver to the Irish Belfast crowd. We're going to deliver them something that they'll be talking about for a long time. And by the way, we've got the big man here as well.
Big Fury, yeah, of course. But just one more thing. Just Frank mentioned me about being a happy fighter. Since I've teamed up with Jamie and Nigel Travis and all the boys in the gym, since I've teamed up with Frank, since I've teamed up with MTK, I feel like a different person. I wish I'd have done it a few years ago. I'm so happy now. I'm enjoying boxing. I'm ready again to put on the big performances.
We wish you'd done it a few years ago, but anyway.
Carl's so much a man of the people and a Belfast boy, and there were loads and loads of people at the public workout yesterday, and the place here, the room is full again, not only with members of the press but also with fans who are going to be here on Saturday night. It's going to be special. You're going to have your chance to speak to all these guys in a few minutes, just head to head, and doing all the interviews. They're prepared to give you what you want. But in the time being, can we open it up to you and take some questions from the floor? All the guys are here. Fire away. Come on, don't be shy.
Don't rush.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, look, that's not a fight that I'm.
Let's get through.
That's not a fight that I'm thinking about right now. I'm thinking about Luke Jackson. So I probably should have stayed at the start. I don't really want to answer questions about Warrington or Valdez or anyone else. I'm fully focused on Luke Jackson.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Question for Stevie. Stevie, when are you getting measured for a suit?
He's got to get 8-0.
8-0.
Yeah. Any more? Yes, down the back.
Just a question for Carl. You've obviously fought all over the world, in Vegas and in Belfast many times. How would you compare Vegas and Belfast? And obviously, what would you compare? We all think we know what you're going to say.
Well, they're very different places, Vegas and Belfast.
Not as warm, really.
No, I love the fight at home, but look, I'd love a trip stateside as well before I hang them up.
Any more? Yep, down the back.
Is there any press here? What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on?
Is there?
They're frightened in case somebody nicks their quote. They want to do it private now, don't they? Are we...
Any more?
Any more questions?
Any more? Right.
What happened to the old days when the press used to ask questions?
I know, where's Colin Hart? That would appear to be it.
Can I
Go
just
on,
interrupt?
yeah, carry on.
I didn't get a chance to before, but I just want to thank my whole team for, it's been a 6-year journey since I turned professional. So first and foremost, my trainer Billy Hussain, my manager Mike Altamura, and my promoter Adam Wilcock. Thank you guys for making this happen. So it's been a long journey, and we're nearly here.
Right, that pretty much concludes things. Final word from Frank.
Saturday night, this place is going to rock. You're going to enjoy yourselves. see you guys in action, and I'm sure everybody's going to come away happy. Look forward to seeing you all there.
And get here early. Thank you very much for being here now, and we'll have head-to-head interviews coming up and photographs for all the press photographers. We're going to go outside for the photographs.